Hola community, it's Pablo with another episode of Blender Today Live, episode 147. Who keeps count anymore? We are getting close to 150. What could we do for 150? Let me know in the comments, whatever they show up. You know what we have this week? Not so much as other weeks. Last week was Easter, so there was in the Netherlands at least, and where many of the developers live. And also it was tagged as kind of a bug sprint, at least on cleaning up the backlog of what is going to be 2.93 beta, which is coming this week, Wednesday. Wednesday there will be a beta release. Well, I mean, you know, you can just download it right now and it's gonna be pretty much the same as the beta release in 2 days, but it's beta, so you can, or you should, use it more and report any issues you find and tell all your friends and family and everybody you know, and people that you don't know also, you should go tell them. So we're getting pretty close to an actual release. Isn't that amazing? What else is amazing is that soon we are getting, you know, when one release goes to beta, the next one becomes alpha. But let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. How are ya? How is it going? How today I'm gonna talk about a few sections. We have library overrides, geometry nodes, user interface, and Eevee. So it's very compact. Most of the action happened in geometry nodes, but the library override system is getting more attention this week, especially now that the studio, the Blender animation studio, is it's working on Sprite Fright. They are using library overrides, so they are really pushing the system to its maximum. There is also a project where the library overrides work on, they have their own section in the outliner, and user interface fixes, they're still coming. They're still a long way, but they're still coming. You know what else is coming is the blog post for Blender.Today, which nobody has made yet. So hey, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we don't have questions today. If you want to add questions, just make a thread. Otherwise, I'm gonna make one when I cover the missing updates. So the updates of this week. Let's start with the title of this video: overrides. You know what overrides are? You know, library overrides is a system to take over the proxy system that was implemented in Blender back in 2005 by the one and only Tom Rosendahl. Back then, for Elephant Stream, the proxy override was, well, grouping. Also groups were added, and then proxy of groups, so you can link characters and then you can apply actions or animate these armatures inside these characters. Well, now the system is much more flexible, much more advanced, and it's not limited only to characters or to armatures. In the past, it wasn't limited. Also, you could do proxies of other data blocks, but it wasn't super reliable. So that is what this is coming to fix, hopefully. So there are many improvements, especially on reliability, on resyncing, on some performance. Also, resyncing should be slightly faster than last week. The big change is now that there is an section in the outliner that it's only dedicated to library overrides. So let's see it in action. Let's see it in, since I don't have too many things to show this week, let's go a bit more into detail into these actions. So let's say you start Blender, right? You start your Blender and you save it. You save your blend files. Always save your blend files, but especially when working with libraries, it's important to save because those libraries need to know where things are coming, right? So I'm gonna import. This is a bit too big. So yeah, 133. It's the number, the magic number I like for the user interface. For these videos. Okay, let's link a character. Let's see how is the process. So let's link a character. I have the splash screen, the junk shop by Aendom. Remember 2.81? The splash screen, that was super cool. So let's bring a collection, for example, the girl, and let's bring it in, and automatically makes an instance of the collection. And in the past, you would make a proxy of this, but now you can also do overrides. So you go to object, relations, make library override. Proxy is still there. Use the other one for the time being. Make library override, yes. And now I have access to all these objects. And in the outliner, you're gonna see that the object has a icon that indicates it's a library override. See? So the object is linked. If I call my evil twin, the object is linked, you know, it's grayed out, but you can override certain settings. You can override settings in the modifiers, but the section I wanted to show you today is here in the outliner. Now you can go and select library overrides, so you see exactly what is being overwritten by in your scene. So say, for example, that you want to take the hand and you want to change you want to keep everything linked. So when someone else works in this file and updates the hands for whatever reason, you can just save and reload the file or resync it, and then you get all the changes back. But you want to change the level of surf because it's too much on your computer. So you just go and just change it. And then it becomes the cyan color, which means it's overridden. So this change is local to this file. You're not changing the original file. And in the outliner, now you see that, hey, globes has one override, which is modifiers of surf levels. Isn't that awesome? And then you can super easily see at a glance which overrides are available in your scene. It's super handy, so handy. So yeah, now the render level and maybe the type. Also, I want it to be Catmull Clark. Now I want it simple. I like seeing things simple. Oh, it's really hard to see which button is active here. We should either change the color or use something else to highlight. But yeah, or maybe darken. Yeah, I don't know, to keep it in mind. But yeah, every change you do here, you see, you're gonna be able to see it at a glance. You can search, you can filter. There is a bit of a salad of filters here in the top. There's two icons. This is not gonna make it to the final release. We have to change this. It doesn't make sense to have two filter icons. But yeah, you can sort, you can turn on system overrides. So the ones that are built in by Blender, you don't, by default, they are hidden because you want to see, otherwise it has too much noise. You want to see the overrides that you made as a user. So yeah, and then you can filter by type, just like you could in other areas. What is the half of the body? Well, half of the body, if you remember the splash screen of the junk shop, it was in where am I? No, hide this here. Junk shop Blender. It's behind the counter. Remember this splash screen? Yeah, that's when you make images, pictures, you don't usually make the things that you're not gonna see, right? To save memory, to save in general. So anything else? How is the chat? Am I missing anything? No, everything is fine. Blender changed my life and my family so much. That's so nice to hear. I think I'm gonna raise the light here a little bit. The other day I spent time looking for the ND filter in this camera. Turns out they removed it in the model of the camera that I have. So I need to buy an adapter and need to go to Blender community to see if anybody made a thread in there. And yes, the website is slow. That means that people have made it and they are already visiting the site. Oh, this weekend we were working all weekend with Francesco on the new on the new Blender community, and it's super exciting. The homepage, it's gonna be completely different. Instead of showing one list of all the what's new, it's gonna show it per group with the different styling per community. So you'll see on all the builds, all the right click selects, all the Blender Todays, and yeah, exciting. I can't wait to show you. Let's go back to what's new in Blender. So the library varies. That's besides a bunch of performance improvements and robustness of the system. I think it's time to move to the other section of the day, which is geometry nodes, or nodes in general. Geometry nodes. Yeah, this is mainly for geometry nodes. And let's start with a favorite for everybody, which is performance. Who doesn't like faster? And well, here this is borderline. Is like, was it made slow on purpose at the beginning or what? Because look at these numbers, they're just crazy. So the speed up is in mesh primitives. You know, recently Blender got improvements on mesh primitives. So the node tree, now you can have, in the node tree you can have cubes, planes, grids, spheres, cylinders, primitives. You can basically start modeling with geometry nodes, and then it's gonna get even better. But it turns out these primitives were a bit slow. How slow? Well, the cylinder was, for example, to calculate this cylinder was 1 millisecond. Now it's 0.3 milliseconds, so almost 4 times faster. That's cool. That's cool. 4 times faster. I like it. Cone. The cone primitive was 4.5 milliseconds. Now it's nearly 26 times faster. To calculate the cone primitive, 26 times faster. But hold on to your papers. Would say the 2-minute paper. Hold on to your seat, because the sphere, it doesn't even make sense to say how many milliseconds. It's now 4,720 times faster. Isn't that insane? So if you were working with geometry nodes and primitives, what a time to be alive in yes, yeah, we all love 2-minute papers. It's just every time it pops up on my feed, I'm like, I prepare, like, you know, like either a drink or something to eat and sit down and watch it properly, like plug the good system or the good, you know, in the big TV. Yeah. Okay. Next improvement that is also by Hans. Good job, Hans. It's support instances when searching for attributes. So when and up until now, if you search for an attribute in your in the attribute search, the list would only include the real geometry. So it wouldn't include all the instances of this of the object until now. Now it is here. It's limited though, because it, you know, if you have millions of instances, you can probably be not too smart to search everywhere. So currently it's limited to a set of 8 geometry sets. But yeah, you can give feedback on this. Usually it should be enough according to what Hans says, but yeah, should be enough. But always feedback. You know, you can give feedback on comments, or you can go to everything, the channel Everything Notes in Blender.chat. Blender.chat, the official platform for chatting. It's like a Blender Slack, Blender Discord, but open source. The next update of the day, again by Hans, overachiever, is a new node. So new node alert. The new node, it's called Bounding Box. I'm just gonna show you here. Bounding Box. What is a bounding box? Well, bounding box is it's a bounding box. How do you describe a bounding box? It's the limits around the object. So you can see an object's bounding box if you select an object and then go to Object, Viewport Display, and then choose, well, you can enable bounding box. So you see the limits of where your mesh is, that is the bounding box. There is a node now that is going to show you the, it's gonna give you a bounding box around it. So you can use it, well, here the example is mentions booleans, but you can, it gives you a mesh also, so you can use it as a mesh. So you can do crazy stuff with it. So let's read the command. This command adds a simple node to output the minimum and maximum of an axis aligned bounding box for the input geometry, as well as a rectangular prism mesh created from these values for convenience. So yeah, the mesh is for convenience, but yeah, super simple, down to the point, and with two vector outputs, minimum and maximum. And I'm getting dark here. It's a crazy time of the year where the show starts blown out and then it goes dark in like 10 minutes. The next improvement of the day, so thank you Hans for bringing a new node to the family. This is an improvement on that node. It now supports volumes as well, so not only meshes, but mesh data, but volume data. Then the next improvement, it's actually the editor that is still not an editor and is more tightly connected with geometry nodes. However, it's intended to be for all purposes. The spreadsheet node, so the node editor. So the spreadsheet editor now allows you to show data of a specific node. So up until now, it would show you of the entire geometry of that whatever you had selected or on your scene. And now, if let's open the pebble scattering. So now, if I, for example, have a spreadsheet here, for example, if I see the values of the mesh, this is the entire mesh. You can select it, and then you see the data. You see the attributes for points, or for faces, or for different attributes like shading, smooth, material index. And super awesome. The spreadsheet is my favorite editor of 2021, I think. Well, Asset Browser is technically 2020, so yes. But the spreadsheet is just awesome. Saves you so much time. Well, now in each node, so by default, it's going to show you this drop down. So it's going to show you final for the evaluated mesh, the one after all the modifiers, all the data, like just the final mesh. Original is the mesh without any, it's the original. So if you have a cube, you have 8 vertices. It's going to show 8 here. If you apply subsurf, in the original mesh, there's still 8 subsurf. I'm subdivision surface. Subsurf is the name that the boomers remember when Blender used to be, the modifier used to be called subsurf instead of subdivision. So if you hear me saying that, shows my age. The way to trigger this, like what do you want to see? You select node here. Eventually, it's going to be automatically done when you click on an icon that is currently in the top right corner of each node, and it's going to show you the data for that one icon. So yes, it's for that one node. So yeah, in at the moment, it has this icon. We're still thinking of ways how to improve this, either another icon, because yeah, this doesn't make any, it makes a little bit of sense, but not so much, because we use this icon elsewhere for the for example, to show or not the something in the viewport. So this should be at least like a spreadsheet icon instead of a screen icon, but we don't have a spreadsheet on off icon or active, so it would have to be an icon, or we make a new one. Many things to decide. Also a shortcut, right? We have Ctrl Shift click on Node Wrangler to toggle a node to preview a node in shader, and is coming also for geometry nodes. But this is if you Control Shift click on an attribute node, you may want to see it in the viewport, or you would expect to see something in the viewport, not here, not in the spreadsheet editor. So yeah, thanks to why not just clicking on the node? Well, because you can otherwise, if you, for example, you want to see the output of this node, but you want to change something else, then it's just it's more flexible this way. You could pin it, yes, but yeah, no, just clicking. Also, every time you click, it will recalculate up until this point, so it can get slow eventually. So you don't want to have this always on, so you maybe want to change yeah, you don't want to have it always on. Yeah, many things to decide, but plenty of time to do so. Next is the, well, as a user you may notice there is a change, an internal change done in the spreadsheet in the way it stores the columns, not columns. Internally now, these columns have a like an order. In the past it was all sorted alphabetically, not anymore. This is because in the future we want to have like hiding of columns, reordering, resizing, but yeah, for the time being, if you notice that some values show up first and some don't, then yeah, it's maybe because of the oops, yeah, for example, this used to be show last because it was sorted alphabetically, but yeah. Okay, next, what else? That is all for the geometry nodes. Let's switch quickly into a couple of changes in the user interface. The first one, it was actually added a while ago. This is a new setting, a bit controversial again, because it's in a place where you don't usually have settings, which is camera view. It's super handy, this new feature. So if you go to view camera, you see you view from the camera. Now there is a little lock icon down here, down on the right side, that locks the camera view. So if you move the camera, if you like pan or zoom, you see if you go, well, there, if you're from the side, you see if I move, now this is on. So this setting, it's also, well, it used to only be here in the view, and it was view lock, camera lock. Now where is it? Can't even see it now. Ah, here. No, is it removed from here? Shouldn't be removed. The camera view, because I'm not in the there, camera to view. I was not in the camera view. So yeah, it is setting that it's in the N sidebar in a sub panel of the panel view, super hidden, not great, is now exposed here. So yeah, it is faster. However, it's a bit nasty that this is added here because we don't have any other setting here, you know. This is just like, these are toggles to control and manage the view. So this is zooming, moving, and then setting the you're not changing any property. This setting changes the property, so there should be some kind of either a separator or somewhere else in the UI, or on the top, or in the like in the bottom. It should be differently, you know. It shouldn't be shown here, basically, or it should be like, why is it not in the on the camera itself, like on, or on the right sides, or like an actual camera. Well, I have them hidden here, but you know, the camera has like battery and f-stops indicator. But yeah, the yeah, it's a great addition. It helps. I personally, this setting, every time I open a blend file, I move, and then I realize this blend file had this setting on, so I changed the camera view, so I have to undo and you have to wait if it's a big scene. Yeah, you're basically just making a destructive change with this on. Well, this is not destructive. Rotating the view is not this, well, now it is. So anyway, enough of that. The next improvement in the user interface is actually a removal. So yeah, it's adding things is good, removing things is also good. The change is actually getting rid of a entry in the context menu of buttons. It was called unset. Nobody really knew, well, maybe some, what unset did, because unset was added, I think, before reset to default was added. So on a setting, you could unset it or also reset to default. Reset to default, up until a few releases, wasn't working on every button because issues, and also wasn't implemented. But then we had this duplicate. We have unset and reset to default. Now unset is gone, and when you reset to default, it also unsets the property in case of custom properties. That is one little change, and this other one is for animators or riggers, but animators. Rejoice! You can now alt click, you know, the same way you can do it with objects, that you can alt click to see the list of objects under the cursor. So if you see all three, you can alt click and then select the objects under the cursor. Now this also works for bones. It was implemented by Sebastian Parborg a few days ago, and super welcome addition. So yay, one for animators. And then the last but not least is in Eevee. Eevee reflections got better and faster even by copying the same implementation that Cycles uses. It also fixes an issue. So now the reflection, it uses the same implementation as Cycles, which makes it a bit faster and also makes it, fixes these issues. If you were having these white speckle issues on reflections, it has been fixed. So this is a win-win, whatever you see it. No speckles, closer to Cycles, and it's faster. We are so lucky to have Clément in the team. And that is all for this week of round of updates. Let's check on the questions. I'm pretty early today. It's okay. Let's maybe if I answer all the questions, I can maybe cut it short for the ones. Cut it short and then save it for next week. All right. Let's get to it. The render that I chose this week, I just went scouting for pictures. I didn't know which thumbnail to use for this video, so I just without even asking permission, that's bad, but it was posted on Blender Artists, so I assume the user is fine with sharing it. And the link of the author of the splash screen of the splash of this video, this render, is it's in the description, so you can check his website, Malapixel. I like the, and because people say we don't give enough love to architectural renders. All right, the first question by Ariano Nudin. Hi Pablo, I just wanted to ask, have you seen this open source real-time smoke simulator? There is also a dev talk thread about it here. I wanted to ask you if you could bring this to the attention of the developer in charge of the simulations in Blender. Developer who makes this has plans to add to Blender add-on as well. What is it? is real time. Well, it's more real time than Blender for sure. What is it? Is it a solver or is it an entire new engine? Because it says new render engine. Yeah, I really don't have much. Okay, so for now it's a standalone program, and in the future I want to make it as a Blender add-on or even built-in Blender next to MantaFlow. Yes, please go, and the more options the better. I wonder if you can, how good can it be when as an add-on though? How performant? Next, well, if it's an external program, maybe it's not a, and as long as it uses like OpenVDB to store as storage, should be compatible. Next question, CRS Shunker. If Eevee, well, it becomes a Vulkan-based render, will there be a way we could switch back to an OpenGL based Eevee? Vulkan might not support all hardware and might be slow on lower power computers. I don't think Vulkan, when it comes, is gonna replace like OpenGL completely. Like now it's all only Vulkan, and then I think it's gonna be a gradual move, and maybe with the you can start Blender with a setting or something like that to switch, but yeah, but at some point you have to drop support, you know. It's that happens. It's the same way that CUDA versions under 2.1 I think, or 2.1 or under 3 are not supported by cycles. At some point you have to draw the line. Helch, hi Pablo, I hope you are fine. I hope you're too. Short question, do you know if there is a way to instance geometry instead of an object with geometry nodes? Instance, well, I mean, if you just transform and join, it won't be using points though, I think. Yeah. Next question, 3D Design Cine TV. Hi Pablo, is there a way to press / or like local view to isolate the view so that it will not jump positions when we do the camera numpad 0 toggle? I tagged you in Twitter to check this out, where Netflix production uses Blender. That's super cool. The how to, yes, actually it's a setting in the operator. So if you go to add-ons, key map, and then you search for like local view / you need to remove the frame selected option, and then now you can, for example, press or like just toggle local view. I didn't use it. I used the menu, not the shortcut. But if you use a shortcut, I don't have a numpad here, but it should fix it. It's called frame selected. I just don't have a numpad here. Also, I tagged you on the tweet on the Netflix thing, the powerhouse process. Yeah, I remember seeing this. Super interesting how they even use Blender back in 2.7 apparently. That's crazy. And it's Netflix. Was it for like Castlevania, I think? But yeah, this could be line art, or maybe it is line art, or freestyle, maybe if it's a bit old. This could be grease pencil. So cool. So cool. Next question, Nikita. Hey, many UV editors tasks. Oh, by the way, the question by Helga, it's answered here. Yeah, by Folk David and by Vazquez. Malphite. He is working in the modules for Blender nodes and geometry nodes. So yeah, that's the answer. It's not possible at the moment. Nikita Niki Forov. Hey, many Eevee editor tasks with really needed improvements has status under discussion. When will we see their implementation? Will UV editing separate from modeling in right-click select and release nodes? UV editing separate from modeling in right-click select and release nodes. You mean like in right-click select now there is no category for UV editing? We can fix that super easily in the new one. Now it's not really possible. And yeah, there is no section for UV editing here. Well, that in the new website is gonna be super easy. When is the new Blender community coming? Hard to say, but let's hope it's maybe we can have a beta testing within a month, less than a month. I think, yeah, should be possible. I don't like to promise anything, but next question, it's the I actually have it running here, but hey, no, it's yeah, you can see, no. Spoiler alert. Let's see. Fasorik says, oh, by the way, yeah, when we will see their implementation? Well, it depends on it's hard to know because I think it's per task. Some tasks are easier than others. Some are UI tweaks, some are and take a bit more time because UI. But some of them maybe they're just waiting on another developer. It's per task usually. Sorry, I'm muting the chat. Someone sharing a phone saying for WhatsApp community. Is that a thing now? Don't share your phone on the internet. Okay, Fasolik VJ. Ciao Pablo. Just a simple question about cycles ambient occlusion. Am I the only one that noticed it's actually wrong? What? Ambient occlusion is supposed to darken the scene where the geometries are occluded. So given the map it outputs, it should be composite in multiply mode. But it's set to add mode instead. What about a multiply add blend mode switch in the ambient occlusion settings? That way backward compatibility will be assured too. You sure? Adding, well, because of color, right? Because of the color. But I cannot. I don't know if that's the case at the moment. Somebody maybe more knowledge can reply. Steve says, Pablo, did you hear about the recent Supreme Court decisions on Google and APIs? Someone posted that they were now able to make non-GPL compliant add-on for Blender because of the new ruling. Just wonder if you heard about that and how that might affect Blender. See this tweet which references the decision. Oh, I closed the chat. Yeah, I think I would rather wait for a official Free Software Foundation statement. Let's see what the Free Software Foundation has to say before we start looking at the Twitter threads. Hey, I gave it a like here. Why is it not keeping my likes counts? Okay, so this I mentioned. Slow Kid, hello Pablo. Some time ago, if I remember correctly, I read the user interface module doesn't have a module owner anymore. Well, yes and no. It's headless. There's no. Yeah, there's not. And now the weekly user interface meetings are not happening anymore. What means this practically? How influences user interface development and its direction? And why did it happen? Well, it happened because there was no really decisions on. Well, I'm in the UI team, right? In the user interface team, and for me, at least from the inside, it wasn't as bad as it looks from the outside. There is this stigma around the user interface team that there is always whatever happens, it has to be, you have to check with the UI team, and there maybe a decision wasn't taken, like this problem with the lock icon in the camera view. That, which team is that? Is that the viewport team? Is that the user interface team? Because user interface is pretty much everything, like except rendering. so yeah, there was a lot of discussions going around that. What does it mean practically? Well, it means that bigger decisions, bigger user interface decisions need to have consensus outside of the user interface team too. So that includes other developers or even Ton. Bigger UI decisions have to go through Ton. So because now we are working from home and everything becomes slower. So for bigger user interface changes, we also don't have a dedicated designer, but like an actual designer, not like me, just that I like to design and I like to use Blender. It needs actually that someone that has studied and has the vision, and that kind of aligns with Ton's visions too, because it wouldn't be a good thing to lose that, to lose the Blender-ness. And if you bring someone from outside that just designs, you can lose that. So I wouldn't like to lose that. And I think again I'm getting a bit darker. So so basically, what does it mean? It means slower. It's just slower development in terms of user interface changes, or more, hardcore user interface changes. Unfortunately, I think as a team we could pull it off, but there needs to be a dedicated team. Now other developers are working on other stuff, like the UI developers, like Julian is working on the asset browser, Hans is working on geometry nodes, I'm doing communication and website stuff and geometry nodes, and in the free time basically user interface. So if we had a team, like an actual full 100%, maybe it's just a matter of organizing ourselves better and make some good designs and prove our way into the team again. Damian Winichenko says, "Hi Pablo, how are you today? How's life in Amsterdam? Is beautiful. Today it was hailing and then there was sun, and now it's just fine, just Dutch." One quick question: when I work with LinkedIn scenes, I'm making some overrides on materials, but these overrides are being reset. Yeah, material overrides do not work yet. Doesn't seem to be a bug, more like my dumb understanding. Yeah, they are not they're not there yet. You can override object settings, modifiers, many other features, many other things, except this one in particular. It's coming though, eventually. Hi Pablo, I hope you're doing great. I think I managed to answer all the questions. There is 7 minutes left and I have only 2 more questions. So hey Pablo, I hope you're doing great. Could we get an experimental version of Cycles with all the speed improvements eCycles has? Yeah, the cost of precision. Now Blender Cycles has to work on every or most of hardwares out there, and without compromising precision, without compromising stability, without compromising dropping support for other software, because it's just making cycles faster. So no. The next question: hi Pablo, hope you're having a good day. 2 questions here. An option to save iterations of the progress of modeling, or anything, maybe the saving option. Let's see. Hi Pablo, hope you're having a good day. An option to save iterations of the progress of modeling, or anything, maybe the saving option. Well, if you have here, if you go to save, you can have save copy. That is like a copy basically of the current of the file that you're working on, or maybe a shortcut. I don't know if that works when adding it to a shortcut, like if you can remove the... Yeah, no, for the time being I think it's just a matter of like Ctrl+Shift+S and then upping the version, the number with this. You mean this, but more automated? The second question, the fracture modifier of the older version of Blender does a way better job of fracturing objects. Please bring it back in new versions, or maybe an add-on will be good as well. The fracture modifier was developed by someone from the community. It wasn't really a Blender core developer development, unfortunately. There is an add-on though. I don't know how does the add-on work compared to the to that old modifier. And then, will the asset browser come to the 2.93 build? Yes, absolutely. Any possibilities to make the add-ons that you can view by pressing the N key, making them floating windows as an option? Floating windows are horrible. Do not do that to your life. No, for the time being, there is no way to make a panel floating panel in the Blender, in the way Blender works. Floating windows only work for editors. So you press Shift, is it? Yes, Shift and drag from a corner, and it's gonna make a new floating window where you could do this if you want. It will be horrible. And then if you use a you can right click. If you use Linux, you have the always on top option, super handy. I don't know if it's available for Windows, but you can kind of get that. It's horrible though. Never, no, don't do it. It's just silly. By the way, thanks for the constant features. This doesn't feel like reality. Blender is becoming better every day. Thanks to Blender developers, and thanks to the community for proposing ideas and giving feedback and reporting bugs, which is what we should do at this time and on Wednesday when Blender 2.93 becomes beta. Wednesday/Thursday. Hopefully Wednesday. And also, since we are here, and I never really talk about the Blender Development Fund, but I think everybody knows, just in case you didn't know, you can also contribute to Blender with a monthly subscription, with as low as $5 Eurobucks or €6 freedom dollars. Anyway, I think we can call it a day. On time for the first time in a while. Okay, have you had fun? Was it fun? Were there updates on the section that you wanted? Maybe not, because today was a fairly short episode in terms of news and updates. Again, last week was Easter, so at least Monday was day off in the Netherlands, so many of the developers that are here in the Netherlands were not working, or they shouldn't have been working, so that also slows things down a little bit. This week though is completely full, and this week and the week after they are completely full. I think then after that there is a bug sprint week where things are gonna slow down a bit again, because for 1 week developers are gonna focus on bug fixing only. Nowadays developers also work on bug fixing every day. It's every day, bro, like that guy says. Okay, I'm just filling in the minute until we reach 1 hour. I think I can cut it short for once. Should I? How's the chat? Where is there to go to see the roadmap for geometry nodes? Go to developer.blender.org/geometry/no slash. Just go to geometry nodes here in the sidebar, and in the work port you can see the things that are being worked on by the community currently, the ones that are in progress and the ones that are to come, and the backlog. So yes, this is for every project, by the way. If you want to know what the animators are doing, just go to animation and rigging, the animation developers, or the work board, and see what they are working on, what is to do, known issues, needs investigation. And if you go to the home page of the project, you can even see where to join in Blender chat to talk to developers and other users. So pretty accessible, I would say. You only need your Blender ID to log in. So with that, I'm gonna wrap it up, and I will see you again. Let's meet again. Same place, is that okay? Same time, same day, Monday, 5 p.m. If you speak Espanol, I'm gonna do this show again in 1 hour in the Blender Hoy channel, which is today in Spanish. Very original, I know. Until for everybody else, I will see. Oh well, if you're welcome. If you want to learn some Spanish, I'm gonna talk about exactly the same, but in Espanol, with a very weird accent from Argentina. I will talk to you and see you and video you and show you next week, same place and time. Ciao. Thanks for staying until the end. Leave comments, report backs, help each other, test these features, break Blender. Bye.